Up until now, I have covered the different types of storage. More today, we'll start with the interesting topic, the data profiling. This is one of the basic stuff or fundamental process that everyone used to follow in order to better understand about the data. Okay, so let's say you have the data. In order to create the report, obviously you need to have the data. Without data, you cannot do anything, right? So you need to have the data. That is one of the important prerequisite. Okay, data is available. How good the quality of the data is? Nowadays, we are dealing with a huge volume of the data, and so we cannot. We don't have time to do trial and error. Too much of trial and error, right? So what we do is we just check before loading the data. See whatever the data we have is in good condition or not. Okay, in case the data has a lot of issues, or if the data is incomplete, inconsistent, if we can address it before even you start load the data, we can preempt a lot of issues, and also make sure that all the jobs are adhering to the SLA. Okay. So what is data profiling? Data profiling is the process of understanding more about the data. What do you mean by understanding more about the data? Why should I, understand more about the data? See, apart from the functional point of view, yes, obviously you should be knowing the domain where you work. For example, you are working in an insurance project, and in that case, you should be knowing the, the domain. You should have some amount of domain knowledge in order to understand the data. Okay. So in the case of retail, it is pretty straightforward. Even the case of retail, you have a column called cost of goods sold. And if you know the domain some extent, that will help you to make a guesswork whether the given column have the correct data in it or not. Okay. For the simple example, if the cost of goods sold should be less than your gross sales. Okay. In case of the cost of goods sold is more than the gross sales, then you can easily catch hold of it. There is something wrong with the data. Okay. Most likely, these kind of issues can result in data issues. Okay. So the here the domain knowledge is very much important. Okay. Okay. Apart from domain knowledge, is there any other way I can find out any issues with the data? Yes, that's when the data profiling option that is available with Power BI, especially in Power Query, helps us to pinpoint or spot where the issue, in what all the issues are there in the given data. Not only this data profiling is specific to Power BI, even if you take any analytics project or data science project, this is one of the important steps, though it is often neglected, this step, right? This is one of the important tasks, though it appears trivial, this task on the surface, but this is one of the important tasks that needs to be carried out. Okay. Look here. So what is data? So what do you mean by understanding more about the data? For example, I have selected this column, unit sold, and it gives us more detailed information about this column. It gives me the statistics, how many number of values are there in this column. So in total we have 10 records. Obviously 10 values should be there in unit sold column. Yes, it is there, but how many of them are having blank values out of the 10? Count takes into account of null also, but we don't want the null also to be considered, but count is taking into account of the null values also. But how do I know in that case the blank value? So that's when you have the empty. Start is like empty is 3. In total, 10 values should be there, including null. 10 values are there. And the empty records, empty values are 3. If you see null here, these are the empty values. Okay. In the case of Power Query Editor, when you load any data, and what it does is it goes and replaces the blank values by null, especially in the case of quantitative columns. So unit sold is a quantitative column, number data type. Okay, this is also number data type, the sales. Okay, and this is our Boolean data type, active. Even in this case, it replaces the null. In case of any blank values, it replaces the null. Okay, but when it comes to the customer's name, this is a string data type, text data type. So what happens is in this case, it is not considering the a blank value as in a blank. Instead, it considers an empty string. When it comes to string, if you don't have any value in it, in a specific record. Okay, so in that case, it will considered as a empty string. It is not considered as a blank. Okay, fine. So here, if you see the empty is 3 and distinct 6 and unique 3, NaN is 0, not a number 0. Okay, and 0 is 1. How many number of zeros are there? 1. And minimum maximum gives us, with the help of the minimum maximum, we can find out the outliers in your data set. What do you mean by outlier? Any idea? Anyone has any idea? What is outlier? Outlier is something like unusually very large value or unusually very small value. That is what your outlier. There is a formula for it, and so that is again too technical. That is meant for data scientists to look here. So what is outlier? I just write it here. Outlier. By doing data profiling, you can spot the outliers in your data. Okay. What do you mean by, you just at this moment think unusually very large value, very large values, or unusually very small values. You have something called negative or something, right? And okay, and here, for example, simple example is in the case of units sold, it's a quantity. If you find something like 100,000, this is something wrong, right? So no one will buy 100,000 units. Very rarely. Individual customer, right? They never, even the family. In the case of grocery, they don't buy 100,000. Okay, and this is something wrong. Maybe it's a data entry error. Okay, but some cases even the outlier also going to be a valid one. And but with the help of conducting the data profiling, especially when you look at the minimum and maximum value, sorry, the minimum and maximum value. Okay, 0 and 15, somewhat it is closer. If you instead, if you see 100,000 here, especially in the case of units sold, 0 to 100,000, the distance is too high, way too high. And if you take the average, if the average is also somewhat little bit skewed in this case, and standard deviation is kind of a variation. And right, so with this itself, minimum and maximum itself, we can easily make out. So in the quantity column, how come you have the maximum value 100,000? There is something wrong here. There is an outlier here, unusually very small value or very high value. Sorry, in this case, okay. There are some cases, the quantity you have something negative 25 to 50, the quantity. So this is also unusually very small value. This could be due to some outlier. Okay, right. So outlier is some data points that are far away from the data which are clustered together. It is something like this. Let's say if you plot the data in Excel, all the values are somewhat closer, but some value, only one value or two value that is far from the most of the values. Okay, even in this case, negative, right? It will be far from these values. Okay, so these are called your outliers. Okay, so with the help of looking at the min and max, we can easily make out, and also the average. Average we can easily make with that itself. The average is kind of a middle value, and standard deviation is give you variation. Okay, how consistent your data, all the things, and even 6 and 1. How many number of even values are there in the units sold? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it takes into account a null also. Okay, odd is 1. So only one odd is there, which is 15. Okay, that is what we can see it here. So all right, you got some idea about what is this one is all about, data profiling. What I will do is I will quickly load some data. I have something called sales by customer.csv. The whole objective of conducting the data profiling is find out or spot any data related issues, and then address it before even you proceed with performing the data transformation also. The objective here is to improve the quality of data. In case of any problem with the quality of the data, that means you have some kind of outliers, and you have some missing values, and you have some duplicate records are there. Those kind of things, if we can address it, then it is good. In some cases, like the type conversion required, Yes, look here on the right side, just beneath the fields pane, the data, we can see the sales by customer, right? So this file got loaded here. I just go to the data view here, and we will take a look at this table's data here. Look here, these are the 5 columns are there. For the sake of demonstration, in the interest of time, we took just less number of data here, less number of columns. And if you see here, the customer name, unit sold, sales, active, and date of birth is there. This is a string data type. And this is the string data type. And rest of them are, these two are your numeric data type. This is your whole number, and this is your decimal number. This is your Boolean data type. What I will do is I'll just select the home ribbon, go to the transform data. I just click on the transform data, which is nothing but your Power Query editor. So now we will start do the data profiling. In order to do the data profiling, we need to go to the add column, and here you will find, sorry, not the add column, and view column. Okay, we have 3 options are available here. You have something called column quality, and you have something else called column profile and column distribution. So these 3 falls under the data profiling. So what is column quality? It displays the percentage of valid, error, or empty data in your data set. For example, if I select this one, look at how much percentage of valid values are there in this column, how much percentage of empty values are there, and what is the error percentage here. And if you see here, in this case also, right, valid across the columns, if you see here, the valid, but there are, some columns here, here, and here, we could see some kind of empty records are there. Okay, and this is my Boolean data. If you see cross and tick mark along with the column, that means it's a Boolean data type. Okay, 1, 2, 3 is a whole number. In this case, yes, we have used the whole number. Even the unit sold is a whole number. If you click on it, you can see the whole number. Okay, and this is a text data type. Okay, so column quality, when you select this one, what happens? The percentage of valid, error, and percentage of empty records that are there in your columns, each columns, it displays us here just above the data, and just below the column header, it displays these 3 statistics. All right, so now what I do is I see, now I have selected units sold, and the next step is I'm going to do the column profiling. The moment when I clicked on the column profiling, right, so it displays the statistics about this column. How many number of values are there? If you see here, only 9 records are there in this entire table. Only we have 9 records. It shows 9 values are there in the unit sold. It takes into account of the null also while doing the count. Okay, and the next one is error 0. Yeah, only one error is there, and empty is 3. How many empty? Null. These 3 null values are considered as an empty, and distinct, and distinct is 6, and the unique is 4. This I will discuss it with the text data type, so that you'll be able to understand. NaN is 0. What is NaN? Not a number. What do you mean by not a number? For example, anything divided by 0 is 0. 0 divided by anything? Infinity. So there are some scenario you will have to divide a value, right? So you need to divide a numeric value by some other. So in the numerator and denominator, let's say you are performing division operation. In the denominator, you have some 0 value comes, but in the numerator you have some value is there. So anything divided by 0 is infinity, right? So that is kind of an error, but in this case we don't see any NaN related thing. And next one is 0. How many zeros are there? 1, and min, max, everything is fine. The average, everything, even is, odd is fine. Only thing is distinct and unique, that I will explain it with this column. And when you see this value distribution, it is nothing but the frequency distribution. What do you mean by frequency? You know mode, right? In statistics school time, we studied mode. So the most frequently occurring values. So if you see the 10 here, in this case 10 appears once and 2 times. Compared to other values, 10 is appearing more than 1 time. So that is the reason why this rectangle height is more compared to other rectangles. 15 The rest of the values, except the 10, rest of the values are occurring only once. Okay, with the distribution itself, we can understand which values are occurring more frequently. Fine. And now I just jump into the customer's name column. And here, if you see here, the same thing, 9 records, the 9 values are there. Error is 0 here. Okay. And here we don't see any error. And empty is also 0 here. So this is and this is the point you need to remember it. Okay. Even initially, when I did this data profiling a few years back, I was literally wondering how come empty is 0 here when we have a blank value here, right? So this is a text data type. Hence, the blank value is nothing but the empty string. Look here, empty string 1. This is very specific to text data type, this statistic, okay? And min max, and here the minimum is this empty string and maximum is true here. Alphabet, okay? It goes by the alphabet. See, B, R, C, everything is there. But if you see something like true, so this is your alphabet. Okay, and min max. And the next thing is the distinct and unique. This is what I said I will explain you with the text column so that you'll be able to understand. Distinct and unique. If you see here, how many distinct values are there here? How many unique values are? See, if you are familiar with the SQL query, the distinct will give you the unique value in a column, right? So then, okay, sorry. Then you must be wondering, then what is the difference between these two? These two are same, right? But here it is not exactly same. There is a difference here, okay? If you see here, distinct, it shows 7. That means how many unique values are there? First, I'll start with Larry, 1. And this is second, 3 and 4, 5. And it takes into account the null also. How many values are there? 6 unique values are the distinct values plus the barren. Though barren occurs more than one time, it's still considered this as one of the distinct values. Okay, but it disregards the duplicate values. So distinct means the total number of different values, irrespective of the fact that how many number of times it appears in your data set. Right? So the classic example, barren. Something like barren visits my shop. If you, for example, this is my today's data, which all customer visited my shop. The barren, he visited my shop 3 times. Today, I could see that barren visited 3 times. That doesn't mean these 3 barons are different guys. All these 3 guys are same only. So barren plus remaining 6, including the null value, it gives me 7. Then what is unique? It simply ignores the duplicates. It simply ignores the duplicates. Which one got duplicated here? Barren. Okay, it simply ignores this one. Barren. Okay, it simply ignores this one. The rest of them it takes. Rest of them how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is what unique. As the name suggests, unique, it should not have any blank value, right? Duplicate values. It simply ignores the duplicate values. Whereas in the case of distinct, even in the case of distinct, it ignores the duplicate values, but still it takes into account of the unique value for the duplicated values. Got it? That is the difference between distinct and unique. Rest of them, another thing which you need to remember is the empty string. When it comes to text data type, if you have a blank value, that is considered as the 1. String is 1. Okay. Rest of them are same. Look here, I explained already with the unit sold, and the same way you need to interpret it. And apart from this, we have something else called the column distribution. What is column distribution? If I select this one, it displays, it gives us more, additional insight. Like apart from this percentage, it gives me how many distinct values, how many unique values are there. That is what we have seen it here. Distinct is 7, but here itself we can see it. with the distribution. Okay, this is a pattern, distribution pattern. And if you see with this pattern itself, we can understand all the values are, most of the values are distinct, right? And 6 unique values are there. Most of them are distinct. And here also it is. There is no ups and downs here. If you look at here and here, but this is a text data type. Forget about this one now. And if you see here, there is an up here. Okay, there is a three distinct values, one unique value is there. Very simple, isn't it? Now the question is, okay, how does this distinct and unique is going to help me out to derive some kind of insight? For example, let's take, for example, this is your store name. Okay, you have some retail chains. Okay, in let's say in your city, you have 4 retail shops are there. 4 retail shops are there. In that case, what will happen is, you know very well the distinct value is 4, because only 4 stores you are doing it. Okay, but whereas if you see the data here, you know, it shows as per this data, let's say it gives 7. There is something wrong here. That means, let's say, you know, this is your north, your city, right? Your city name, north, east, west, south. Some people, instead of using north, okay, instead of using north, what they do is they put, see, some people they use north and north. Some people they put N here, and some they put south, and yes. So in this case, what happens is all these 3 values represent the same data, right? Same region, including this one. But here also the same thing. But when it comes to Power BI, if you take any tool or any programming language, how will it gets to know north are same and N and north are same? How will it gets to know? There is no way out, right? So this is something related to data issue, the data entry issue. There is no proper standard, naming standard, they followed it. Okay, within the same shop, some people, when they generate the invoice or the bill, they put N, the region name is N. Some people, you know, some staffs in your shop, they put proper naming convention, north. Some people, they put yes, south. This is a, you know, clerical problem. In the billing counter, they did not put the correct region name or location name. If they put it like this, what will happen? Let's say you have 4 region, right? In the 4 region, in your 4 region of your retail store, you made 100K. 4 regions put together. Since you have given, they have given 2, you know, different naming standard. What will happen is the north, in the name of north, let's say, you know, 40K has gone. And in the name of N, you have something like 60K have gone. When in the case of report visual, when they see north, they tend to think 40K, it is very less. There is something wrong here. Actually, these 2 values should have been added together. Just because of the naming standard problem, this 100K got splitted into 2 different records. Okay, there is some problem. So this needs to be addressed. So data is not consistent, inconsistent. This is called inconsistent data. Number 1. Number 2 is how complete the data. Okay, so the data should be complete. It should not be, you know, partial data. Okay, for example, NOR northeast region or something else. So because of space problem, what happened? You did not give sufficient width. Only north EA is coming here. Okay, north, and some people they use NE. This is related to consistency. Okay, and this is related to your incomplete data went in there. So this is your incomplete data. You need to check all the things. Okay, whether the given data is complete, or with the help of distinct, we can quickly make out. Hey, I know very well in our business, in our retail business, we operate across only 2 regions, but here it shows 4 regions, 4 distinct values. and two unique value. This is fine, but why it chose 4? Because some duplicates. Okay. Sorry, duplicate is fine. The distinct will give, right? The distinct and unique displays the same value, not the same value. Unique displays only the unique value. In case of any duplicate, it simply ignores it. Okay, this is of not much in this case, not much helpful in this case, but distinct will help me to understand quickly. Okay, so it takes into account north and takes into account the N, yes, and so actually you are doing the business in 2 different locations only, but as per the data, it will show you 4. With the help of the distinct, you can quickly make out, hey, I'm not operating a retail chain across 4 locations. I just operate only 2. There is something wrong with the data. When you look at the data, they did not follow the proper naming standard to specify the region name. Hence, it requires some kind of treatment. Okay. Okay, so these are the things you can, with the help of the distinct and unique, you can find out. In case you have any primary key column here, you know, the unique is very much helpful. You can easily make out, okay, how many unique values are there? Good. Okay. Excluding the duplicate values, how many unique values are there? Let's say you have the primary key column. In the primary key column, both of them should be same. The distinct unique should be same. But whereas, you know, these kind of columns, the distinct is very much helpful. Look here, this is what the example I gave, right? For stores, you do only business in 2 stores, but whereas the distinct shows 4 stores. Okay, then there is a problem, because when you take a deep dive, you will get to know, hey, they did not follow the proper standard. Different, you know, the different salesperson, they uses, you know, their own naming standard. It should not be. So that's the reason why if you look at the companies, they have something called data governance team. What they do is they hold the meeting. It's a virtual team. They hold a meeting periodically, and then they review the data, and especially these kind of data, they will review it. And then what they document it, and they circulate it to all the location people, or they have some intranet. They will tell the, hey, please refer this document. Henceforth, you need to follow this naming convention. Northeast, you have to say Northeast only, not NE. So fine, you understood what is column quality, what is column distribution, what is column profile. The column quality displays the percentage of valid, percentage of error, percentage of empty records. And the column distribution tells us the data distribution within the column. Okay, data distribution within the column. I was showing this one only. I just scribbled like anything. For example, if I select this one, this is what your distribution. So this is possible because of the column profile. Okay, it displays the in-depth of the data. So look here, in this case, what insight you get it here. So Baron is the frequent visitor. He frequently visits my shop. Okay, maybe he's a, you know, potential customer. He comes and buys it everything most of the time in my shop. Very good. Other guys, maybe the one-time visitors. So with the help of the distribution, you can gain a quick insight. And apart from this, you have something called column distribution. Here also you can see the chart, right? So with this, you can find out quickly, you know, which how many number of the distinct and uniques are not same here. But here, if you see, everywhere. So if you see here, 9 distinct, 9 unique values are there. Okay, none of them got duplicated. Hence, 9 distinct values are there, and also 9 unique values are there. Got it? Any questions? Okay, we discussed as part of data profiling, what is column quality, what is column distribution, and column profile, and also explain to the different scenarios how it can help you to find out the or spot in case of any issues with your data. And the customer's name, as I said, this is a text data type. It takes into account of the blank values also, whereas we are not, I'm not supposed to say blank. It is the blank values are considered as empty string in the case of text data type. So this helps us to further take the corrective measure in order to address the data related issues before we proceed with the data pre-processing. Okay, the classic example is this one, or let's say this is your store name. It shows 4 distinct values and actually you have only two stores are there. With this, you can easily spot, oh, hey, there is something wrong with the naming standard. Okay. Or they put different name for this store name, store location detail. Okay, northeast, southwest, something, right? They did not. Somewhere they put SW, somewhere they put NE. All right, so hope you are clear about this. And it is always a good practice before you do any data transformation. First, explore or perform the data profiling. This one can help you to address the data related issues. Some